are the US government and the world government getting to a point where they may have no choice but to actually tell people about UAPs and UFOs? Because, long story short, this came out about a month ago, right? But there was an FAA report which basically indicated that an F-16 Viper fighter jet collided with a UAP described as an orange-white unscrewed aerial system, or a UAS or drone, over restricted airspace, which caused some significant damage to the $63 million jet, which basically forced it to land and need repairs. And the FAA apparently have claimed that this is one of 22 reported incidents involving US Air Force fighter jets encountering and colliding with unidentified objects in the skies of Arizona between October of 2022 and June of 2023. Now, this incident in particular is not anything new. It happened in January of 2023, on January 19th more specifically, but it's only recently come out in the FAA report, and it's getting to the point where surely, right, that you can't just cover this up. You can't just say, oh, it was a drone, because the question then is, well, why have the government or the military allowed a drone to be in restricted airspace? Well, maybe they didn't have the opportunity to really like take it down if it was unidentified. Obviously, this happened over Gillibend in Arizona, or Gillibend in Arizona. I apologize if I've butchered that. And, you know, the impact was cracked the jet's canopy and protective glass bubble over the pilot. So no injuries were reported from this specific incident, thankfully. But the extent of the damage was not disclosed by the Air Force at all. But the Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA, documented the incident, which was reported by The War Zone, which is a journalist, right? Now, this is really, really interesting, because obviously we've seen lots of, you know, things happen, and it's like, oh, you know, training injuries and training issues and all the rest of it. But whenever something's reported as a UAP, all right, we've seen it with the likes of, who was it? Jeremy Corbell came out recently, obviously, and stated anything that's labelled as a UAP within reports is linked to NHI, non-human intelligence, which means that it's categorized of not of Earth, but it's, you know, put down as a UAP in the report. Now, Lou Elizondo, about a month ago, did speak to News Nation to kind of talk about this as well. Again, this isn't exactly brand spanking new evidence or news, but it's just an interesting talking point from my point of view, because the question is how much longer can these kind of incidents happen before the government's like, well, you know, we can't exactly blame that one on a test dummy, but you know, we can't exactly say that was a drone, because why would we be putting our own drones up, and we don't want to admit that it may be a foreign adversary, because, you know, then we look like we're not in control. So, you know, there's a lot of question marks around this. But Lou Elizondo, obviously a man who's been in a bit of a contentious point recently, did comment on this with News Nation.
Is the government finally coming clean about what it knows about UFOs? There's a new report by the Federal Aviation Administration that admits in 2023 an orange and white UFO crashed into an Air Force fighter jet during a routine training mission. And the UFO caused so much damage to the $60 million jet that it was forced to land. And that is not the only new evidence that they released. Trump's top science advisors recently admitted that the government may have anti-gravity technology. Look at this.
Our passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. We are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space.
Manipulate time and space. Oh my gosh, I'm surprised that hasn't been a bigger story. So why has the Trump administration decided to disclose all of this now? I want to ask former Pentagon UFO whistleblower and investigator Lou Elizondo. Lou, it's nice to have you with us. First of all, the UFO that crashed into the fighter plane, what do we know about that?
Well, the problem is that we really don't know much, and therein lies the challenge, right? When you have an incident involving a $40 million combat aircraft, and only the details now are starting to be released through Freedom of Information Act and FAA, there's a problem. Now, we've been saying for the last 8 years since I've been out that there have been dozens upon dozens of these near-air collisions that have occurred with military and civilian and commercial pilots. This is not just happening with military aircraft. Now, this is the first time we heard of an actual mid-air collision, but some of these objects are coming so close to combat aircraft that they are literally splitting that combat formation right down the middle. So you can imagine how close combat aircraft fly when they're flying in formation. Now imagine a UAP coming in right between them. So this is nothing new. And I think, you mentioned earlier, why is the administration having the conversation now? And I think it's because this has really become the worst kept secret in American history. It's been 80 years of suppression and misinformation. And we're at the point now where I think the administration realizes that America can handle the truth.
Yeah, it does feel like more has been trickling out over the last few years. You've been working with the FBI on their investigations, their FBI investigations. What can you tell us about what they're finding? Is there anything new there?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. First of all, America is getting a heck of their money spent very well with the FBI. I'm absolutely amazed how well they're doing. In fact, they're running laps around the Department of Defense's Aero program that was established specifically to look at UAP. And the FBI team, it's a small but scrappy team of folks, are really doing one heck of a job. And I think if you look at Luna's recent statement that she said when she was asked about the FBI meeting that we helped organize in the SCIF, she said it was a 10 out of 10. And that I guess Aero now has some explaining to do. So the FBI is doing fantastic, but also we can't forget about Tulsi Gabbard and the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, and the entire intelligence community. There are pockets of excellence that are working very, very hard behind the scenes also to try to help boost the FBI's efforts. And I think we're finally getting a congealing, if you will, of the right people, the right resources, the right authorities to finally shed some light on this incredible mystery and give the information not only to Congress, but the American people.
We only have about a minute left, but the clip that we played in the intro, I just kind of find to be fascinating. The top White House science advisor saying that the U.S. has anti-gravity and something about time technology, almost like it almost just kind of slipped out. What are we to make of that?
Well, you're talking about the engineering of the space-time metric. And that is something that we looked at in ATIP, and before that, the programs before mine, and certainly afterwards. This is nothing new. What is new is that the government is starting to become increasingly more transparent on what it knows about these incredible enigmas that we call UAP.
Well, Lou Elizondo, we appreciate you coming on tonight. We appreciate you always fighting to find the truth and bring it to us. And I hope you have a nice weekend.
Now, I find it interesting, obviously, with the context that we've got now. Obviously, this came out about a month ago. With the context that we've got now, with what we know allegedly from Ross Coulthart with regards to Lockheed Martin and the Tic Tac UFO that came out from, I think it was 2011? It was in the 2010s. I can't remember the specific year. There was that video, obviously, that came out with the Tic Tac. And apparently, allegedly, according to Ross Coulthart and his sources, that was from the from Lockheed Martin, the Air Force base, well, not the Air Force base, but like, the contractor to the DoD. And when they're talking about anti-gravity stuff, maybe there's a bit of a connection there. Maybe they know a little bit more than they let on. What do you guys think about this? Obviously, I know Lou Elizondo is a bone of contention for a lot of people, so some people might just see him and instantly be turned off to the idea, but maybe he knows something. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump to get the hell out of the like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.